So today I wanted to talk about some of my Season 3 Owl House theories. Now I know that I already went over some of my Season 3 theories in my previous video, but for this video I'm going to be going over a few of my other theories. So first of all, I think throughout the 3 episodes we're going to see Luce and Camilla's relationship slowly start to improve. Now I'm not saying that Luce has a terrible relationship with her mum or that Camilla is a bad mother, because throughout the previous 2 seasons it's clear that Camilla and Luce both really care about each other, as we often see Luce talk about missing her mum, and in the episode Reaching Out she tells Amity what she and her mum would do together on the anniversary of her dad passing away.
Today's the anniversary of my dad passing away. That's not an excuse for what I did. Like I said, it happened a while ago, so I didn't want to bring it up. He always brought us flowers on our birthdays, so after he passed away, we started picking flowers for each other. And then we'd visit his grave, and me and my mom would spend the day together. It's nice, but this year I'm not with her, and I don't have any flowers.
And then in yesterday's lie, when Luce tells her mum that she chose to stay in the Boiling Owls, Camilla gets really upset and says,
You chose to stay there?
Oh,
Were you trying to live out some witch fantasy? Did you hate living with me that much?
Mama, no! No, not yet. Not yet! Mom! I'm being pulled back!
Baby, no. When you come home, promise you'll stay here. I didn't mean to push you away. I swear things will be different.
Mom, it's not you. It never was.
Promise me, Luz. Please.
Okay, Mom. I promise.
we see Camilla start immediately blaming herself for Luce leaving, and that she clearly wants to make things right with her daughter. So I think throughout Season 3 we'll see a few honest heart-to-heart moments between Luce and Camilla, especially as there's already been quite a few open and honest communication moments between some of the other characters throughout the show. And so if Luce and Camilla do end up having some honest conversations, then I think one of those conversations will likely be about how they each did something that hurt the other without really realizing, and then they'll probably both apologize and will hopefully come to understand why the other did what they did, Luce choosing to stay in the Boiling Owls and Camilla sending Luce away to reality check summer camp. I think another honest conversation they'll have will be Luce telling her mum that she's dating Amity, and also coming out to her as bi if she hasn't done so already. If Camilla doesn't know that her daughter is bi, then I think she'll have a positive reaction to Luce coming out to her and also telling her that she's dating Amity, which would honestly be such a wholesome moment. But either way, I think Camilla would have a positive reaction. And so if Luce and Camilla do end up having those conversations, then I think it would be a good way of showcasing their relationship gradually improving over time and becoming even stronger than it was before Luce left. However, I do think that Luce and Camilla may have a slight disagreement when it finally comes down to whether Luce goes back to the Boiling Owls or stays in the human realm, which leads on to my next theory. Will Luce stay in the human realm or will she stay in the demon realm? Now this depends on whether they're able to make a stable portal or if Luce is able to find an alternative way to travel between the 2 realms. So if one of those 2 possibilities do end up being possible, then I think that Luce will end up living part-time in the demon realm and part-time in the human realm. At first I think she'll want her mum to move to the Boiling Owls with her permanently, but Camilla may not really want to, as she's probably happy living in the human realm since she's already made a life for herself there. She's a veterinarian, she may have a group of friends that she's really close with, she has a nice home, she's now got an adoptive daughter who's happy living in the human realm, etc. But for Luce it's a whole different situation. She had no friends before she went to the Boiling Owls, and even though it's not explicitly stated, she was probably badly bullied in school, as in the episode Knock Knock Knocking on Hootie's Door, she references being bullied in the past by saying,
Oh no, I'm gonna be made fun of again.
So the only really important people to her that she has in the human realm are her mum and V, but in the Boiling Owls she's got a group of close friends, a girlfriend, an adoptive mother and an adoptive younger sibling. She can be herself and doesn't feel like a complete outcast there. It would be a shame to just let all of that go, and it would go against the entire message of the show. And so I think Camilla will say to Luce, you know, I've made a life for myself here in the human realm and I'm happy here, but I can see how incredibly miserable you were here and I just want you to be happy, so why don't we make a compromise where you live part-time here in the human realm and part-time in the demon realm. So Luce could spend weekdays in the demon realm attending Hexside and living with Eda and King, then on weekends and holidays she could then return to the human realm to spend time with her mum and V, or alternatively she could spend weekdays in the human realm attending Gravesfield High and living with her mum and V, then on weekends and holidays she could then return to the demon realm to spend time with her found family. That way she wouldn't be completely running away from all her problems in the human realm, and she'd be keeping in regular contact with the people she cares about. Plus while she's in the human human realm, she could meet V's friends and hopefully become friends with them. So then she'd have a small friend group in the human realm. And from what I saw in yesterday's light, it looked like they were also interested in magic and fantasy, so they'd have stuff in common. Although if she does end up spending weekdays in the human realm, regarding the being bullied situation, I could also definitely see Camilla moving Luce to a different high school, and I thought maybe she'd end up transferring to some sort of creative arts school, as throughout the previous 2 seasons, Luce is shown to be a pretty good illustrator and has always shown a bit of an interest in art. Plus, she'd probably meet more like-minded people at a creative arts school, and so would hopefully make some good friends there as well. Now let's talk about the Collector. So I have 2 theories for how I think the Collector is going to be defeated. My first theory is that they're going to challenge the Collector to some sort of game, where if they win, then the Collector has to put everything back to normal, but if they lose, then the Collector can play whatever games he wants or something along those lines. So they're all going to have to work together in order to beat the Collector at whatever game they play. They then compete in whatever game and then end up managing to beat the Collector by outsmarting him, so they won't cheat at the game. However, because the Collector is a child who seems to have never been taught right from wrong, he then has a tantrum about losing, even though the others won fairly. So then Luce and King start to feel sympathy for him, because it seems like the Collector just wants to have fun and make friends, but just doesn't understand how powerful he is, or know the difference between right and wrong. So they then go and talk to him and are then able to get him to stop having a tantrum, and also explain to him that he won't make any friends or have anyone to play with if he's mean to people and destroys things that are important to them, like the Boiling Isles, and that if he wants to make friends and have people to play games with, then he's going to have to be nice to people and not destroy the things that are important to them. So then maybe the Collector could join their side and help them fix the damage that was caused, and so if that does end up happening, then maybe he could also help keep the Boiling Isles safe and become some sort of guardian that makes sure no one harms the Isles and everyone that lives there. That way he'd be using his powers for good and would be able to make friends with some of the residents on the Isles. But I do hope that we'll get to learn a bit more about the Collector's past in season 3 and what happened between him and King's dad, because at the moment he's more of a minor antagonist compared to Belos, who's the main big threat and the ultimate evil. Now my second theory is that Luce will defeat the Collector by destroying his mindscape, as it would be impossible for her and her friends to go up against him in a fight since he has godlike powers. However, we've seen how tampering with someone's mindscape can really mess with them. For example, in Understanding Willow, when Amity burns all of Willow's memories, she starts forgetting who everyone is and acting really loopy.
Hi, I'm Willow. Remind me of your names?
This is serious journalism, Willow. Hunting around will get you nowhere.
I'm serious. Who are you?
I'll admit, this amnesia spin has piqued my interest.
Guys, it really seems like she's forgotten us. Like, her memory is...
Like her memory is gone.
Have I always said this crazy thing? Blap. Blap. I can tell we're gonna be good friends. Ooh, a furry fruit. I'm gonna peel it.
What? What is happening?
And then in Hollow Mind, Belos says,
I was finally able to catch it. This thing's been a thorn in my side for years. All these weepy palisman souls. Their voices constantly nagging me. Vile.
So it's clear you can do a lot of damage to someone through their mindscape. Therefore, could Luce potentially defeat the Collector by firing off glyphs in his mindscape or something along those lines? And yeah, I know it's a pretty morbid theory, because destroying the Collector from the inside out would mean that he would die mentally too, which would then essentially result in his mindscape collapsing with Luce inside it. But the reason that I think it will be Luce who does this, if this does end up happening, is because ever since the episode Elsewhere and Elsewhen, she's been blaming herself for helping Belos, even though Belos, a fully grown adult, decided to use her as soon as she offered to help him find the Collector and showed him the light glyph. Plus, at the time, she didn't even know that Belos and Philip were the same person, yet she still seems to think that it's all because of her that her friends are now in danger, even though Belos would have probably found someone else to use and manipulate in order to obtain the piece of the Collector without the intervention of her and Lilith. So because of very strong self-blame and wanting to make things right for the people she cares about, I think Luce will be adamant on sacrificing herself for everyone. Therefore, I think she'll argue with everyone saying, I've got to be the one who does this, I put you all in this situation in the first place, and then she'll enter the Collector's mindscape before anyone has time to stop her. Then while she's in the mindscape, the others will start panicking, trying to find a way to get her out, and then one of them will find a way to get her out of the mindscape. So then they'll all start working against the clock. They're then successful and are able to get Luce out of the mindscape just in time before it collapses. So regarding Belos and how I think he's going to be defeated, I think that V and Gus are both going to play an important role in defeating him. In King's Tide, we saw Gus use that tiny magnifying glass, which enabled him to view Belos's memories. So maybe he was able to see some of Belos's weaknesses and what he did in order to cover up those weaknesses. So then when they're planning how they're going to defeat Belos, Gus will be able to tell them what Belos's weaknesses are and how they can use those weaknesses against him. Now we also know that Vi was experimented on by the Emperor's Coven when she was in the Demon Realm, so it's possible that she too may also know some of Belos's weaknesses and also knows a bit on how to defeat him. However, she can also shapeshift into people, which may come in handy for if they need a way to distract Belos at some point. So maybe she'll be able to shapeshift into the Collector or even Caleb as a way to trick and confuse Belos, which would hopefully slow him down and distract him. Then whilst he's distracted, the others work together and are able to trap him, and then once he's trapped, Vi takes the opportunity to drain all of the magic from his body since basilisks eat magic, so then Belos loses all of his power and immediately starts to wither away, as he was using glyph magic and palisman essence in order to live a really long time and gain the ability to transform his limbs into that gloop stuff, and then hopefully the trapped palisman souls will be able to escape Belos's mindscape somehow. So I already went over some of my theories about how I think Luce and everyone are going to return back to the Boiling Isles in my previous video. However, I forgot to talk about this other theory I had, which is that I think Vi is going to be able to help them find a way back, not because she knows how to get back or anything like that, but because she consumes magic, she'll probably be good at sensing it out. So if there are any natural portals nearby that have developed due to Titan's blood, which is how I assume Belos and Caleb crossed over to begin with, then there may be other leaks nearby that Vi could help find. And if Vi isn't able to find any leaks, then maybe she'll be able to find other magical things that could potentially help them get back to the Demon Realm. Plus, maybe the real Eclipse Lake is actually located somewhere hidden in Gravesfield or somewhere hidden in Gravesfield Cemetery. Now, whilst everyone back on Earth is looking for a way back to the Demon Realm, in the meantime, I think that Eda will be going around trying to get the cats back together. And then once she's got some of them back together, they'll go around helping other witches out and persuading them to join the cats. But whilst in the process of helping and recruiting other witches, they'll set up some sort of secret base camp, which will have also maybe formed into a nice little community over the time skip period. So then once they've recruited enough witches, they'll start forming a plan on how they're going to rescue King from the Collector and how they're going to try to take down Belos again, because none of them will know about Belos getting turned to gloop unless King or the Collector tell them what happened. So while that's all going on, I think that King will be trying his best to keep the Collector entertained and distracted for the time being. So every time the Collector starts to get bored or frustrated that no one's played Owl House with him yet, King will keep adding new rules and lore to the game he made up. So if the Collector says something like, "When can we start the game? I'm bored," King will say something like, "Well, we have to do X and Z first before we play, because if we don't, then the game won't work, and if the game doesn't work, then it will be even more boring than waiting," which would hopefully keep the Collector distracted for a bit. Plus, maybe King could find a way to secretly communicate with Eda and Luce due to his connection to the In-Between realm, and so if he figures out how to properly use the In-Between, then he could potentially act as a way for the cats to communicate with Luce and the others. Although I also think that there's a chance that King could actually end up befriending the Collector, because if he's having to keep the Collector distracted for a few months and having to constantly keep an eye on him, then they're going to have a lot of time to talk and get to know each other. So maybe King will learn a bit more about his dad, because in King's Tide, the Collector did mention that he was trapped by him. So if they do end up becoming friends, then King could ask for the Collector's help to properly get rid of Belos for good, which he'd probably happily do, considering that Belos used him for years and then just disposed of him like he was nothing once he'd gotten what he wanted. Last of all, I want to talk about what I think Luce's palisman is going to be. I think that her palisman is going to either be a bat palisman or a blue jay palisman. Now, the reason that I think her palisman could end up being a bat palisman is because in the first episode of season 1, we see that her phone case looks like a bat, which shows her fondness towards bats, and in the episode Eclipse Lake, we see that Amity's Tamagotchi avatar is her palisman Ghost, and that Luce's Tamagotchi avatar is a bat. But if you also want to look into symbolism, bats have been associated with the idea of being between different worlds, as they are a mammal that can fly, so I think that her having a bat palisman would especially make a lot of sense if she does end up being able to travel between the human realm and the demon realm. Although the reason that I think her palisman could also end up being a blue jay palisman is because, first of all, having a bird palisman is a clawthorn thing. Dale has a black-faced grosbeak, Gwendolyn has a hawk, Lilith has a raven, and Eda has an owl. And since meeting King and Eda, Luce has become an honorary clawthorn, since she's like an adoptive daughter to Eda and like an adoptive older sister to King. Second of all, while we don't know if all palistrum wood is blue or if the colour of a palisman can be different from the wood that it was carved from, it would however make a lot of sense for her palisman to be a blue jay, as she carved it out of blue palistrum wood. Thirdly, Hunter's palisman Flapjack is a red cardinal, which are usually associated to blue jays, as they're often seen together but are known for not getting along, so that would be a sort of parallel to Luce and Hunter in the beginning when they didn't get along at all. And plus, Connecticut is one of the states that blue jays live in, and Luce is from Connecticut, so she's probably already familiar with them. So that's been a few of my season 3 theories, and yes, I know that this video is extremely last minute as the first episode comes out tomorrow, but regardless, I hope you enjoyed this video, and do let me know some of your season 3 theories down in the comments. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.